Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back with yet again another review for Samurai Jack Season 5. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing Episode 6. Oh man, this episode. Yes. This episode was amazing. 10 out of 10. Like, this was probably the best episode that we saw of Samurai Jack. It started off with this episode started off with the sort of alien species that kind of looks like elephants in a way. It started off with them, and we knew them from the previous season of Samurai Jack, and I'm like, yo, these guys, I remember these guys. They were enslaved by the little monkey-looking dudes and whatnot. And then, not only that, but in the entirety of the episode, you have Ashi actually going on this journey to find Samurai Jack. And throughout the episode, we just see nostalgia play out as we see the rest of, the species of aliens that Samurai Jack has come into contact with and has saved throughout, and how they now idolize him for saving them. And I was just like, yo, dude, this is nostalgia. It's just amazing. I love it. And also, not only was it nostalgic, but it was also very comical in a way too, just in certain situations where places in the episode went about, especially the part where we have the robot guy. Apparently he actually plays a part in the episode as well, because he is apparently still alive. He is trying to actually contact Aku, but he's in a little predicament in which it is making him very hard for him, because he is basically just hopping along with his little head that he only has. I mean, he doesn't have his body whatsoever, and it's quite funny just seeing him, trying to get into contact with Aku, but everything is failing with him. But especially this one part in the episode when he's on a boat, and he grabs this guy's body, and by the time he gets off of the body, apparently, apparently this guy says that the last person that ended up doing this to me ended up doing this to my head. And you just see the freaking head looks like a fucking penis. Like, I'm like, yo, did they really just try to do that in Samurai Jack? Are they really making dick jokes? Like, holy shit. And you even have the dude, the robot guy, saying, man, what's up with that guy's freaking attitude? He's fucking looks like a fucking dick or some shit, He fucking looks like a penis. I'm like, yo. The rest of this episode was very funny in general. I mean, that was only one sliver of the parts, but just several moments of the episode, were a lot more comical in that factor, especially one at the bar scene, if anybody remembers what I'm talking about. Like, this random individual who looks like Aku in a way, kind of looks like one of Aku's henchmen. He appears at the tavern and is like, I have come to take on all of you. This will now be my, home, my tavern. I will completely kill you all off right here and then. And everyone's just looking at him like, what? And then the guy's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna hop on out of here. Like, he was just like, I'm up and out of here, see you guys later. And then the boss at the tavern is like, man, we got a bunch of freaks, here. Like, those were just prime examples of some of the comedic aspects of this episode. And also, not only was it nostalgic and comedic, but also in this episode, we get some progression to the overall plot. And like I stated in last week's review of Samurai Jack, Ashi was going to take over the spotlight for the next few episodes, and I thought last week's episode mainly put a focus on her, and in this episode, we mainly have the focus on her now officially, since, Jack really wasn't all that there in this week's episode. And we actually see her go through characterization now that she has finally opened up her eyes and now has witnessed, the destruction that has caused Aku for, various species in the galaxy, from the situations that they were before in, but after they met Samurai Jack, completely, you know, restore their humanity and also have saved them through certain situations to where they can start a new life for themselves. And that is something that I really, really enjoyed. And then Ashi, you know, just opening up her eyes to this new world in front of her, you know, showing that, you know, she now believes that Jack is actually a very good person. And also, it seems like we got some backstory from her as well. She was, like, I remember in my episode 2 review, I was basically calling, or it was episode 2 or it was episode 3, in which I titled it The Death of Innocence, and it was basically, you know, titled that because of the fact that I analyzed the episode into which, you know, we see the innocence of Samurai Jack being killed off, but not only that, the, you know, sisters of the 7 warriors who were trying to kill off Jack, Ashi being one of them. It was pretty much showing the death of them as well, because they were brought into this world completely knowing nothing but the evil of, you know, Samurai Jack and not of Aku, and therefore they were born innocent but grown up to, you know, kill. And that's kind of like what we saw in the flashback of this episode, Ashi being just thrown down as a little child, in which she completely got fucked up, like apparently going down this whole, you know, hole with molten, I don't know, rock or lava. I mean, I don't know, there wasn't lava there, but you get what I'm saying. And apparently it has traumatized her to the point where she became evil and now is technically brainwashed to the way in which she thinks that Jack was evil. But now she has finally opened up her eyes and sees that there is actually hope and innocence that still runs across the galaxy. So it was very good meeting, or seeing some progression to her overall character come about in the series, and also, you know, just looking like a different person in general. She no longer looks, you know, sort of evil. She looks actually innocent now, and quite beautiful at that. I'm not gonna lie to you. And honestly, when I saw her in that leafish outfit, I was like, damn, she looks like Peter Pan. And then, of course, at the end of this episode, we see that Samurai Jack was, of course, going to kill himself, like I stated before in my previous episode review, that, hey, Samurai Jack is probably on the way in to actually kill himself. And this spirit that has been following Jack has actually been one of the God members from episode 1 of Samurai Jack, or at least in the earlier stages of Samurai Jack, in which we actually saw Samurai Jack's father actually be granted the power of this sword in order to stop the destruction of the city in which Aku was decimating, which was his town. And apparently this magic sword that was given to him was by the gods. And Samurai Jack also went through the same sort of thing. However, he did not fulfill his quest into actually stopping Aku. But more so is that he didn't actually stop, you know, Aku, but more so mentally he thought he could no longer stop Aku. And that is pretty much what caused him, in order to go under this whole distress situation in which he has completely lost faith within himself and has brought upon these gods, his inner demons, so to speak, into actually killing him, his, you know, just from his thoughts in general. But then again, it's not really like some demons or hallucinations that are completely taken over him, but embodiments, so to speak, in which, you know, they are in fact gods who have been haunting Jack, but they are physical gods, so to speak, because even Ashi can actually see them, and they were actually hurting her as well. But then, of course, by the end of this episode, we see that Jack has now finally, due to Ashi's words, has now finally, you know, has hope for himself. He now finally has hope for himself, in which he's just going to try to give it one last shot in order to stop Aku. And by the end of this episode as well, he gives off the final saying that it is time to look for my sword to stop Aku. And I was like, yo, let's fucking go, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, from what we have seen in Samurai Jack so far, especially in this episode, it's been pretty predictable. But we know that it's predictable because, one, it's a cartoonish series. It has become more mature, don't get me wrong, but it's still, in its, entirety, it's a cartoonish series. Also, we have seen this done in literature multiple times, the tropes that are involved in the series, but how these tropes are handled within the series of Samurai Jack, you just completely fangasm over, and I'm just so glad that this series is back, man. But this episode takes the cake. This episode was hype. It brought me back childhood memories, completely nostalgia from, the previous seasons of Samurai Jack back then that you would just tune in onto Cartoon Network daily. Yo, I love that shit. And the comedy in general was just awesome as well. Not from, the immature scenes or whatnot, but just the overall comedy that was sprung about this whole entire episode is what really took the cake for me. Like, this episode had what, everyone wanted. Like, it was probably an episode that they took as something to give back to the viewer for all the thanks and support that they have been getting, even from the past seasons of Samurai Jack, because this episode is what the past series of Samurai Jack were exactly like. Comedic-based, action, and also progression through the story. Of course, there was not nostalgia in the previous seasons of Samurai Jack because, back then we didn't see anything beforehand, but this episode is what gave us nostalgia for, supporting the series and just watching it over time as we grew up along with this series. So, this episode, it was quite amazing. I'm really interested to hear your overall thoughts because, in my personal opinion, this was a 10 out of 10 episode and probably one of the best episodes that I would say in all of the series of Samurai Jack. It's definitely one of the best that we have had of the season and probably one of the best of the series overall. But that's just my personal opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you would like to stay updated to my future content, hit that red subscribe button down below and you will never miss a video from me. Thank you all for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I did. What about you? Thanks, guys, for watching.